Imagine a divorce so scandalous, so explosive, and so utterly devastating that it would become the most infamous in Hollywood history. We're talking about the catastrophic union between actress Rita Hayworth and director Orson Welles, a marriage that ended in a maelstrom of accusations, including domestic abuse, infidelity, and even satanic rituals. But Hayworth and Welles' disastrous divorce was just the tip of the iceberg. Hollywood's golden era was riddled with messy, dramatic, and often shocking divorces that left fans reeling and reputations in tatters. In this video, we'll take a closer look at the worst divorces in old Hollywood, from the salacious to the scandalous, and explore the secrets, lies, and heartbreak that lay behind the glamour of Tinseltown. Humphrey Bogart and Mayo Method. Behind the glamorous facade of old Hollywood, Humphrey Bogart and Mayo Method's relationship was a tumultuous nightmare. Their passionate love was constantly overshadowed by explosive fights and vicious recriminations. Bogart was captivated by Method's sharp wit, but their laughter was often interrupted by the sound of shattering glass and screams. The press ominously dubbed them the Battling Bogarts, a nickname that would prove eerily prophetic. Their love was a destructive force that consumed them both. Bogart's infamous temper often turned violent, while Method would fight back with ferocity. Their home, Sluggy Hollow, was a war zone, with the sound of their arguments echoing through its halls. The violence escalated to shocking extremes. Method stabbed Bogart in the shoulder, leaving him bleeding and battered. Another time, they brutally attacked each other while drunk on whiskey. A horrified Gloria Stewart recalled a dinner party where Method waved a gun, threatening to shoot Bogart in a fit of rage. Their relationship was a ticking time bomb, marked by intense love, fiery passion, and personal demons. The public caught glimpses of their turmoil, with Method often sporting bruises and Bogart nursing his own wounds. The couple's toxic cycle of breakups and reunions continued unabated. However, everything changed when Bogart met Lauren Bacall in a movie set in 1944. Bacall's youthful charm and beauty captivated Bogart, and he fell deeply under her spell. Method was devastated when she discovered the affair. Her world shattered by Bogart's betrayal. She watched in agony as Bogart and Bacall's relationship blossomed, her own marriage crumbling into dust. In a desperate bid to salvage their relationship, Bogart and Method reunited briefly in 1944. However, the damage was irreparable. Bogart's heart now belonged to Bacall, and he couldn't resist her charms. The inevitable end came in December 1944, when Method announced that Bogart had left her for good. The toxic love story of Humphrey Bogart and Mayo Method finally reached its tragic conclusion. Bogart divorced Method in 1945 and married Bacall the same year, leaving the darkness of his past behind. However, the scars of his tumultuous relationship with Method would remain forever. Charlie Chaplin and Lita Grey. In 1924, the world-famous Charlie Chaplin was at the height of his career, a comedic genius adored by audiences everywhere. Behind the scenes, however, his private life was a storm waiting to break. Enter Lita Grey, a 16-year-old actress cast in his film The Gold Rush. Chaplin, then 35, became romantically involved with her, a relationship already fraught with controversy because of their significant age gap. The situation escalated when Lita became pregnant, a scandalous predicament in an era where Hollywood's moral code was tightly policed. To avoid the ruin of his image and possible legal repercussions, Chaplin reluctantly married her in a secret ceremony in Mexico. What followed was a marriage that could only be described as a disaster from the start. Chaplin's controlling nature quickly emerged. He dictated every aspect of Lita's life, from her appearance to her interactions, while continuing his notorious womanizing. Lita, just a teenager thrust into a world of intense scrutiny, felt trapped and overwhelmed. The marriage, which lasted just 3 years, was marked by bitter arguments, emotional manipulation, and accusations of infidelity on both sides. By 1927, Lita had had enough. She filed for divorce, and what unfolded became one of the ugliest and most salacious splits in Hollywood history. The court proceedings aired every sordid detail of their marriage. Lita accused Chaplin of extreme cruelty, claiming he had a temper that left her terrified. She alleged he made her feel like a prisoner in her own home, isolated and controlled. Chaplin didn't come out unscathed. Lita's legal team painted him as a selfish, manipulative man who valued his image more than his family. In an era when scandals could destroy careers, this was devastating for his reputation. The court documents, which included explicit details of their marital disputes, were so shocking that a judge ordered them sealed to protect public decency. The divorce settlement was equally jaw-dropping. Lita received $600,000, a staggering sum at the time, making it one of the largest payouts in history. Newspapers dubbed it the divorce of the century, and the public couldn't get enough of the scandal, eagerly devouring every headline. Though Chaplin recovered professionally, his personal life became forever intertwined with this infamous chapter. Lita's story offered a glimpse into the darker side of his genius, a tale of power, imbalances, and broken trust. Decades later, the divorce remains one of Hollywood's most talked-about scandals, a reminder that even legends like Chaplin couldn't escape the price of fame. Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher. Eddie Fisher did not have just one ugly divorce, but two. The first one was with Debbie Reynolds and the second was with Elizabeth Taylor. In the glamorous 1950s, Debbie Reynolds and Eddie Fisher were the ultimate Hollywood dream couple. Their marriage was celebrated as the sweetest love story ever told, with fans adoring their seemingly perfect relationship. But behind the scenes, trouble was brewing that would lead to one of the biggest scandals of the era. The turning point came in 1958 with the tragic death of Elizabeth Taylor's third husband, producer Mike Todd. Fisher, a close friend of both Todd and Taylor, stepped in to comfort the grieving widow. What began as a gesture of support soon turned into an affair that shocked the world. Reynolds, who had been a close friend of Taylor, suddenly found herself in the middle of a highly publicized love triangle. Rumors swirled in the press, and Fisher's betrayal quickly became a national spectacle. Debbie Reynolds, America's sweetheart, became the face of heartbreak, while Elizabeth Taylor was labeled a seductress. Fisher, once a beloved crooner, was criticized for abandoning his wife and two young children for Taylor. After a year of trying to hold her family together, Reynolds filed for divorce in 1959. The scandal didn't hurt her career. In fact, it boosted her popularity, with her movie fees doubling to $250,000 per film. Eddie Fisher, on the other hand, saw his star begin to fade. Once a TV sensation, he was soon performing in nightclubs and taking smaller roles, his reputation tarnished. Elizabeth Taylor and Eddie Fisher. Not long after divorcing Reynolds, Eddie Fisher rushed into marriage with Elizabeth Taylor in 1959. Their relationship, born out of scandal and grief, captivated the public. However, the marriage quickly showed cracks, proving that passion alone couldn't sustain a union. Taylor's fiery personality clashed with Fisher's more subdued demeanor. While Taylor commanded headlines and million-dollar movie deals, Fisher struggled to find his footing in the wake of the scandal. Public opinion never warmed their relationship, with many seeing it as doomed from the start. The breaking point came in 1964 when Taylor, now working on the set of Cleopatra, met her co-star Richard Burton. Their undeniable chemistry sparked a love affair that eclipsed any previous scandal. The press dubbed it the love affair of the century, leaving Fisher humiliated and sidelined. Taylor divorced Fisher to marry Burton, ending their 5-year marriage. Once again, Eddie Fisher found himself at the center of a messy public breakup, his career taking yet another hit. Meanwhile, Taylor solidified her legacy as one of Hollywood's most magnetic yet tumultuous stars. Years later, Debbie Reynolds and Elizabeth Taylor mended their friendship, even laughing about their past drama. But the two divorces of Eddie Fisher remain a reminder of how Hollywood scandals can shape and shatter lives. Joan Crawford and Franchot. Joan Crawford and Franchot's marriage seemed like a match made in Hollywood heaven. A glamorous actress at the peak of her career and a dashing actor with theatrical sophistication. But behind the glittering facade lay a relationship fraught with bitterness, control, and betrayal, culminating in one of old Hollywood's ugliest divorces. Crawford and Tone married in 1935 after meeting on the set of Dangerous. Joan, ever the star, fell for Franchot's charm and intellect, while he was captivated by her magnetic beauty and ambition. But their union was doomed from the start. Crawford was already an established powerhouse, while Tone's career was still blossoming. Despite his talent, he often found himself overshadowed by his wife's fame, a fact that gnawed at his pride. As Crawford's career soared, rumors of affairs began swirling. Joan was known for her fiery personality and penchant for attention, which allegedly included flings with co-stars and influential figures in the industry. Franchot, meanwhile, felt increasingly emasculated, a man in the shadow of a Hollywood titan. The marriage turned sour quickly. Friends of the couple whispered about escalating arguments behind closed doors. Tone allegedly became physically abusive, taking out his frustrations on Joan in drunken fits of rage. But Crawford wasn't one to sit quietly. She retaliated with cutting remarks, reminding him of her greater stardom and influence, which only fueled his resentment. Tone later claimed she treated him like a prop in her career, a trophy husband meant to elevate her social standing rather than an equal partner. Joan, who was notoriously meticulous about her image, couldn't stomach the cracks in their relationship spilling into the public. By 1939, the marriage had deteriorated beyond repair. Their divorce was highly publicized, with headlines filled with accusations of infidelity, cruelty, and power struggles. While neither aired all their dirty laundry publicly, Hollywood insiders knew the truth was far uglier than what made the papers. The split left a lasting impact on both stars. Crawford continued to build her legendary career, but her personal life remained a series of turbulent relationships. Tone, while respected as an actor, never quite escaped the shadow of his stormy marriage to one of Hollywood's most formidable women. Theirs wasn't just a divorce, it was a battle of egos, passions, and ambitions, played out under the unforgiving glare of Hollywood's golden spotlight. Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks. In the 1920s, Mary Pickford and Douglas Fairbanks were the ultimate Hollywood power couple. Their love story a fairy tale that captivated an adoring public. Both were already icons of the silver screen. Pickford, America's sweetheart, and Fairbanks, the dashing hero of swashbuckling adventures. Their union seemed inevitable, but the path to their marriage was far from idyllic. When Pickford and Fairbanks met, they were both married to other people. Pickford's first marriage to actor Owen Moore had been tumultuous, marked by his jealousy of her skyrocketing fame. Fairbanks, meanwhile, was wed to socialite Annabeth Sully. Their attraction to one another was undeniable, and despite the moral conservatism of the era, they embarked on an affair. After divorcing their respective spouses, they married in 1920, igniting a media frenzy. The newlyweds settled into Pickfair, their lavish Beverly Hills estate, which became a hub for Hollywood's elite. Together, they represented the height of glamour, and their appearances on red carpets and at international events solidified their status as royalty in the burgeoning film industry. Along with Charlie Chaplin, they co-founded United Artists, a groundbreaking move that gave actors unprecedented control over their films. However, behind the scenes, cracks began to form in their seemingly perfect marriage. Fairbanks struggled with the constraints of his larger-than-life image, and Pickford, a perfectionist, often clashed with his free-spirited personality. As their careers evolved, tensions grew. Pickford's transition from ingenue roles to mature characters alienated some fans, while Fairbanks faced declining popularity as sound films overtook the silent era. Fairbanks found solace in the company of other women, leading to rumors of infidelity that Pickford could not ignore. Pickford, too, was rumored to have grown close to other men, though she remained fiercely protective of her public image. Their once thriving relationship disintegrated under the weight of unmet expectations and personal grievances. In 1936, the Golden couple filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences. The split was amicable on the surface, but it marked the end of an era. Hollywood mourned the loss of a partnership that had symbolized the pinnacle of romance and success. Joe DiMaggio and Marilyn Monroe. In 1952, Joe DiMaggio, a baseball legend known for his incredible career, decided to take a chance on meeting Marilyn Monroe, who was just starting to make waves in Hollywood. Marilyn later wrote in her autobiography, My Story, that she wasn't sure about Joe at first. She thought he might be like other athletes, full of himself. But that meeting turned into the beginning of something both beautiful and tragic. Their love story wasn't easy from the start. Marilyn was busy in Hollywood, while Joe was often on the East Coast. They tried to keep their relationship private, but with two such famous people, it didn't take long for the press to catch on. Eventually, in January 1954, they surprised everyone by eloping at San Francisco City Hall. It was a simple wedding with Marilyn in a brown suit and white fur collar, and Joe in a plain suit. Because they'd both been married before, they couldn't have a formal church ceremony. Marilyn always dreamed of having children, despite struggling with a painful condition called endometriosis, which made it difficult. But behind their smiles for the cameras, trouble was brewing. Joe wanted Marilyn to focus on their marriage, while she had a demanding career in the spotlight. His jealousy and possessiveness clashed with her desire for independence, and the cracks started to show. Things got worse during their honeymoon in Japan. Marilyn decided to visit U.S. troops in South Korea to perform for them, which left Joe feeling ignored. Their differences became even clearer during the filming of The 7-Year Itch, when Marilyn's famous flying skirt scene drew cheers from fans and photographers. Joe wasn't happy about the attention she got, and their fights became public. By October 1954, after less than a year of marriage, Marilyn filed for divorce, calling it mental cruelty. Even after their divorce, their connection didn't completely fade. Marilyn moved on, marrying playwright Arthur Miller in 1956, but her struggles continued. By 1961, her personal life hit a rough patch. She had surgery for her health issues and spent weeks in a psychiatric hospital. During this tough time, Joe came back into her life as a friend. He helped her get through some of her darkest days, even arranging her release from the hospital. Despite their renewed bond, they never got back together romantically. Then in August 1962, tragedy struck when Marilyn died at just 36 years old from an overdose. The details surrounding her death remain unclear, with many questions still unanswered. Joe was heartbroken. He took charge of her funeral arrangements and made sure she had a private, respectful service at Westwood Village Memorial Park Cemetery. Ingrid Bergman and Peter Lindstrom. Ingrid Bergman, the radiant star of Casablanca, had built a life that seemed as picture-perfect as her on-screen roles. She was married to Peter Lindstrom, a Swedish neurosurgeon, and together they had a young daughter, Pia. But behind closed doors, cracks were forming. Ingrid's marriage to Lindstrom had grown distant, and the pressures of her rising fame only widened the gap. In 1949, while filming in Italy, her life took a dramatic turn when she met the visionary director, Roberto Rossellini. Rossellini was everything her husband wasn't: passionate, daring, and artistic. Their connection quickly turned into an affair that couldn't be hidden for long. The scandal erupted when Bergman, still married to Lindstrom, became pregnant with Rossellini's child. News of her infidelity spread like wildfire, leaving her reputation in tatters. Hollywood, once her sanctuary, became hostile. Fans who had idolized her turned on her, and the media vilified her as the ultimate adulteress. What made the situation uglier was the involvement of the U.S. government. Bergman's affair was denounced on the Senate floor by Edwin C. Johnson, a Colorado senator who called her a powerful influence for evil. This public shaming was unprecedented and reflected the era's moral strictness. Bergman, whose roles often portrayed innocence and grace, became a pariah in the eyes of the American public. Her divorce from Lindstrom in 1950 was just as contentious. The courts fought over custody of their daughter, Pia, with Lindstrom accusing Bergman of abandoning her family for a selfish romance. The bitter legal battle played out in headlines around the world, dragging Bergman's name through the mud. Lindstrom portrayed himself as the wronged husband, while Bergman became the poster child for scandal. As her Hollywood career crumbled, Bergman sought refuge in Europe, where she married Rossellini and gave birth to 3 children, including twins. But the damage was done. For years, she was effectively exiled from Hollywood, her once bright star dimmed by the controversy. It wasn't until 1956, when she won an Academy Award for Anastasia, that she began to rebuild her career. While Bergman eventually regained her place in Hollywood, the affair and its aftermath left scars. It wasn't just the end of her marriage to Lindstrom, it was a public crucifixion that exposed the darker, judgmental side of fame. For all her brilliance as an actress, Bergman paid a steep price for following her heart. Joan Crawford and Douglas Fairbanks Jr. In 1929, Joan Crawford and Douglas Fairbanks Jr. marriage was a highly publicized union that captivated the imagination of the American public. However, beneath the glittering facade, their relationship was a complex web of love, jealousy, and ultimately, heartbreak. Joan Crawford, a young and ambitious actress, had risen to fame with her striking looks and captivating on-screen presence. Douglas Fairbanks Jr., the dashing son of the silent film star Douglas Fairbanks, was a talented actor and a member of Hollywood's elite. Their whirlwind romance culminated in a fairy tale wedding, with the press hailing them as the perfect Hollywood couple. However, the pressures of fame and the constant scrutiny of the media began to take its toll on their marriage. Crawford's rising star and her increasing popularity with her male co-stars sparked jealousy in Fairbanks Jr. The rumors of Crawford's alleged infidelities, particularly with her co-star Clark Gable, further strained their relationship. As the rumors intensified, the couple's marriage became a subject of intense public speculation. The press sensationalized their every move, and the public couldn't get enough of the juicy gossip. Despite their efforts to maintain a united front, the strain on their relationship was beginning to show. In 1933, after 4 years of marriage, Crawford and Fairbanks Jr. announced their decision to divorce. The news sent shockwaves through Hollywood, and the press had a field day. The rumors of Crawford's affair with Clark Gable resurfaced, and many believed that this was the reason for the breakdown of their marriage. Despite the acrimonious circumstances of their divorce, Crawford and Fairbanks Jr. surprisingly, remained friends. They continued to work together in the film industry, and their friendship endured long after their marriage had ended. In the end, Crawford's marriage to Fairbanks Jr. was a cautionary tale of the destructive power of fame and the dangers of living in the public eye. Despite their glamorous facade, their relationship was ultimately unable to withstand the pressures of Hollywood's relentless scrutiny. Ava Gardner and Frank Sinatra. Ava Gardner, the stunning Hollywood actress, and Frank Sinatra, the charismatic crooner, embarked on a passionate and tumultuous journey when they tied the knot in 1951. Their marriage was a scandalous affair, with Sinatra leaving his wife Nancy for the beautiful Gardner. The early days of their relationship were marked by intense romance and excitement. Gardner, with her sultry voice and striking looks, had captivated Sinatra, and he was smitten. However, their love was not without its challenges. Sinatra's divorce from Nancy was still fresh, and the gossip columns were filled with stories of his new romance with Gardner. As their marriage progressed, the cracks began to show. Sinatra's possessiveness and jealousy often led to explosive arguments, with Gardner's fiery temper matching his own. Their fights were legendary, with neighbors reporting screams, shattered glass, and even physical altercations. Infidelity also played a significant role in their troubled marriage. Sinatra's numerous affairs with other women, including actresses and showgirls, were well documented in the press. Gardner, too, was accused of having affairs with other men, including actors and musicians. Their public outbursts and constant bickering made their marriage a staple of gossip columns. The press reveled in their drama, and the public couldn't get enough of the juicy details. Despite their best efforts to keep their problems private, their marriage was a very public affair. In 1957, after 6 years of turmoil, Gardner and Sinatra decided to call it quits. Their divorce was a messy public affair, with both parties trading insults and accusations in the press. The final straw came when Gardner suffered a miscarriage, which she blamed on Sinatra's physical abuse. Sinatra, on the other hand, accused Gardner of being unfaithful and neglecting her wifely duties. The arguments escalated, and eventually they decided to go their separate ways. Their divorce was granted in 1957, with Gardner citing mental cruelty as the reason for the split. Sinatra, on the other hand, claimed that Gardner was cold and unresponsive in their marriage. Despite their tumultuous relationship, Gardner and Sinatra remained friends until his death in 1998. Gardner passed away in 1990, but their legendary love affair continues to fascinate fans to this day. Audrey Hepburn and Mel. In the dazzling world of 1950s Hollywood, a chance encounter between Audrey Hepburn and Mel sparked a whirlwind romance that would captivate the hearts of fans worldwide. But beneath the glamorous facade, their marriage was a complex web of love, loss, and deceit. It was 1953, and Hepburn, just 24 years old, had catapulted to stardom with her iconic role in Roman Holiday. Ferrer, an actor and director 12 years old, was twice divorced and a father of four. Their introduction at a party celebrating the British premiere of the Roman Holiday marked the beginning of a passionate and all-consuming love affair. As their romance blossomed on Broadway in 1954, Hepburn and Ferrer's love seemed unstoppable. They starred together in Ondine, their chemistry on and off stage undeniably. On September 25, 1954, they exchanged vows in a private ceremony in Switzerland, shielding their union from the prying eyes of the public. But their happiness was short-lived. Hepburn's desire for motherhood was met with a series of heartbreaking miscarriages, each one a devastating blow to their marriage. In 1955, she suffered her first miscarriage, followed by another in 1959 after a tragic fall from a horse during the filming of The Unforgiven. Two more miscarriages in 1965 and 1967 left Hepburn's personal life a tapestry of grief. Amidst the sorrow, there were moments of joy. In 1960, Hepburn gave birth to their beloved son, Sean Hepburn Ferrer. But even this blessing couldn't salvage their troubled marriage. Ferrer's jealousy and controlling behavior had long been a source of tension, with Hepburn's mother branding him a frog-faced delinquent with spindly legs. As the years went by, Hepburn and Ferrer's marriage became increasingly strained. Both parties engaged in extramarital affairs, with Hepburn's secret romance with William Holden, her Sabrina co-star, and Ferrer's numerous infidelities further eroding the foundations of their relationship. By the late 1960s, Hepburn realized that her 14-year romance with Ferrer had finally reached its breaking point. The fairy tale had ended, and the reality of their troubled marriage could no longer be ignored. In November 1968, they announced their divorce, marking the end of an era for Hollywood's golden couple. As Hepburn emerged from the ashes of her failed marriage, she would go on to find love again, but the scars of her tumultuous relationship with Ferrer would remain forever etched in her memory. Rita Hayworth and Orson Welles. Rita Hayworth and Orson Welles' marriage began in 1943. It was a union of two talented and charismatic individuals who seemed destined for happiness together. However, beneath the glittering facade, their relationship was a complex web of love, ambition, and ultimately, heartbreak. Hayworth, the stunning actress and dancer, had risen to fame with her captivating performances in films like CoverGirl and Gilda. Welles, the brilliant actor and director, had made a name for himself with his groundbreaking film Citizen Kane. Together, they were the epitome of Hollywood royalty, with their marriage being hailed as one of the most glamorous unions in Tinseltown. However, their relationship was not without its challenges. Welles's intense focus on his work often left Hayworth feeling neglected and unappreciated. Her desire for attention and affection clashed with Welles's absorbed nature, creating tension in their marriage. Furthermore, their differing lifestyles and personalities began to take a toll on their relationship. Hayworth, a free-spirited and vivacious individual, felt stifled by Welles's more serious and introspective nature. The cracks in their marriage began to show in 1946, when Hayworth discovered Welles's infidelity. The betrayal cut deep, and Hayworth's trust in Welles was irreparably damaged. Despite efforts to salvage their relationship, the damage had been done. In 1947, Hayworth filed for divorce, citing Welles's lack of attention and their incompatible lifestyles as the reasons for the split. The divorce proceedings were a media sensation, with the press devouring every detail of the couple's troubled marriage. The public was shocked and saddened by the demise of one of Hollywood's most beloved couples. As the news of their divorce spread, fans and friends alike mourned the loss of a union that had once seemed so full of promise and passion. In the end, Hayworth and Welles's marriage was a tragic reminder that even the most glamorous and seemingly perfect relationships can be flawed and fragile. Despite their love for each other, they were unable to overcome their differences and make their marriage work. But it was not the only time Rita could not handle her relationship. She had another divorce that is considered the ugliest divorce in Hollywood. Rita Hayworth and Prince Ali Khan. The couple's romance began in 1948 when Hayworth, fresh off her divorce from Orson Welles, met Ali Khan in Cannes. Ali, the son of Aga Khan III, was famous for his wealth, charm, and reputation as a womanizer. Despite warnings from friends, Rita was captivated by his attention and the promise of a fairy tale life. The two married in 1949, with Hayworth giving up her film career to embrace the world of European aristocracy. From the outset, their marriage was fraught with challenges. Ali Khan's extravagant lifestyle and rumored infidelities clashed with Rita's longing for stability and family life. The birth of their daughter, Yasmin, in 1949 brought brief joy, but it wasn't enough to heal their growing rift. Ali's reputation as a philanderer only fueled Rita's insecurities, while she struggled to adjust to the rigid expectations of royal life. By 1951, cracks in their marriage had become public knowledge. Rita grew increasingly unhappy, feeling isolated and betrayed. She accused Ali of infidelity and neglect, while he painted her as emotionally unstable, unfit for the pressures of their social world. Their fights grew more heated in public, culminating in a bitter split in 1953. The divorce was a media circus, but the real drama came during the custody battle over Yasmin. Rita accused Ali of plotting to take their daughter to Europe to raise her away from her mother. The legal fight was vicious, with both sides airing accusations and grievances in court. Ultimately, Hayworth won custody, but the ordeal left her shaken and exhausted. Hayworth returned to Hollywood, attempting to rebuild her career, but the scars from her tumultuous marriage lingered. The divorce marked the end of her dream of a royal life and solidified her image as a tragic figure, a screen goddess whose personal life was marked by heartbreak and betrayal. The marriage of Rita Hayworth and Prince Ali Khan was a clash of two worlds, Hollywood's glittering fantasy and the rigid traditions of European royalty. In the end, neither world proved capable of sustaining their love.